Brought to you in association with Grendel Press. This is Werewolf the Podcast, a serial killer drama.
Hello. This is where I normally do a lot of housekeeping and tell you to go and read the description and do loads of things, but we've got so much going on at the moment. We've got a partnership with Grendel Press, we've got a partnership with Odin Apparel, we have podcasts that we're doing, we've got loads of other things. Greg's writing his third book, everything's happening at once. So go to the description, come and join the lunatics, the fans that are really show us some appreciation, and follow us, rate us, do all those wonderful things. And yeah, I hope you enjoy this week's. We had lots of fun doing it. Bye! Brave Sir William, he faces certain death. Certain death. For God's sake, shut up, Percy, for God's sake! Gervais, you're a Philistine! Gervais, it is a dark moment, even in the burgeoning light of the dawn. My friend, nay, my brother walks to his death. The castle has been hit by plague-ridden pots that have been fired over our walls by the Count's duo of trebuchets. My plan for them not to do so much damage was not a good plan, of course. Of course it was not. I was sober, a state that will never manifest itself again if I can ever help it. I need wine and ale much as a fish needs water. Aye. Many suffered and many died of the virulent plague that was landed upon us. Those touched died in, it grieves me to say, in truly horrific ways, drowning on their own bodily fluids, their flesh rotting and falling from their bones whilst they lived. A flag of surrender was raised after the second barrage, and William offered himself to the Count to quell his need for revenge on the man. Is he a man, William? The beast? I suppose the beast that killed his father and his sister, the Count, that is. Although having been there at her death, I know that she was killed by a quarrel in the throat from the Count himself. He shot upon William, and I saw her taken by the quarrel in the throat. William was no man that would do such thing to a child. I understand that the taking of her head was not an appropriate thing to do, but, well, William is no normal man, as we know, and his sense of humour is dark. He was promised a golden fleece for his lord at the killing of the worm, so he took her blonde-haired head as payment for the work that we had done after being denied that, well, the real thing. Not a great jest, not even a joke. William is a serious man, and he is, well, seriously fucked up, and when you know him as I do, he could be no other way. Will now rides his destroyer, named Bastard, for the obvious reason that, well, the horse is a bastard, towards the camp of Count de Périgord. He's going to meet whatever fate he's going to meet to stop this rotten siege. This saddens me greatly, to watch this great man go to what I imagine as a slow and painful death. Does he deserve such? That I cannot be the judge of, as he has saved me and mine on multiple occasions, and in my mind he is a much more godly man than I. I watch from the battlements of the gatehouse. I must admit that my eyes are filled with tears at his loss and his bravery. Percy, Welly, and I, well, we'd all gone our separate ways this day to reflect and have a moment in our own heads. It is time for me to bother my God. I try not to get noticed by him for most of my life. I think that he is a busy deity, and as I know, he will miss much that goes on dealing with the eternity and all that happens in it. I don't need him to turn a blind eye, but if he's busy, then he will not notice much of my more, let's say, questionable behaviours. Ahem. I cleared my throat, feeling a fraud making this request. I would like to think that this appeal for this help is not for me. I would like to think but the truth is, I kneel upon the stone, watching the horse make its way forward. Ahem. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. I knew it went something like that, but wine fogged my mind even at this young time of the day. I know that I don't do enough of this praying thing. I sort of feel that I don't need to do it much, as others are much more pious and have a better grasp of this realm of etiquette. I also know that the thing I pray for is beastly, that the man has a demonic side to him that, well, he calls angelic, but well, he does, and it does a lot of good from my point of view. I continued. Can I ask you maybe to send an angel for me? I'm not sure if that's possible, but I've never asked you for anything in my life, and I would never ask again if you could somehow extricate William from this dire situation. I knelt with my eyes closed, thinking that I had done a daft and useless thing. I admonished myself. This circumstance was... well, I thought it was worth me being a fool. I held my vigil for a few more moments until it became uncomfortable to continue. Not physically, but mentally. It had become awkward. I did not know how long to stay where I was. I heard a beautiful female voice. It was rich and strong, like a glass of bull's blood wine. Her voice was a wild tonic in the rain. That voice was a deathless song. Ah, my good maid, if you could just leave the bottles there, I will attend to them once I have finished this...
Prayer for an angel?
Said the woman's voice. I felt the heat of embarrassment redden my cheeks, although that should not have been the reaction. I was speaking to God. Is that not a noble thing? Yes, I am. I do not pray often, but on this occasion I wish for a heavenly hand to help me, to help my friend, I told her.
Ah, a heavenly hand.
I heard her say, with what could be a little resignation.
They always search for a heavenly hand.
I had not opened my eyes to look at the woman yet, but now I allowed myself to crack my left eyelid to look upon the speaker. Oh, so fair, so pure, her features so divine, time's icy hand could ne'er that grace confine. Oh my God had presented an angel. The woman that stood there was... Words fluttered into my mind for a time, or for a time hence, I'm not sure where they came from. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Thou art more lovely and more temperate. I started, but was hushed by her look.
Those are not your words to utter.
She told me. They seemed appropriate. She was the most graceful and comely female I had ever seen. I closed my eyes again in disbelief, and without giving voice to my prayer, I mean, God would have a sense of humour, would he not? I spoke to him. I think the angel that you have sent is not an avenging one, Lord, but I thank you. My life is now complete, as I have seen the most beautiful thing I could ever see. I told God, truly thankful. The woman laughed a rich laugh, which was... why was she laughing? What was she laughing at? Again I cracked my eyelids. Are you laughing at me in prayer, good woman? I asked her.
Good woman?
She laughed out loud, and she repeated good to herself as she seemed to taste the word, and let's say it did not taste well.
No, I'm appreciating the fact that you're impressed by the angel before you.
She said.
You steal unmade quotes from the greatest writers never to yet live to describe me.
I opened both my eyes and turned to her as I got to my feet stiffly. I am not used to being on my knees for any length of time. I'm a bloody knight. You can hear my thoughts? I asked her.
Well, sort of. It comes with the territory, to be honest. Being an angel and all.
I laughed, perhaps a mistake, but in this moment of darkness in the world, this gorgeous creature who calls herself an angel, well, she amused me. You are a very fine-looking wench, that I will admit.
Oh, what? Be careful, Gervais, with the word wench. That's no way a great wordsmith would describe any woman.
I was confused, but the little lady must be under a lot of stress, I suppose. If this place was captured, then her future with the mercenaries would be long and, let's say, unpleasant. She would be used and well, worthless then. I have to admit, you look like an angel as I would dream of them, I told her. But I think that you are not the avenging type that I require. A comely lady such as yourself could not be terrible in battle, could she?
Well, Gervais, aren't you a great example of misogynistic, toxic masculinity?
I did not quite understand her parlance. She was mixing her languages, but I thanked her for the compliment. Why, I just do my best, my dear. But thank you, I told her, bowing deep. A compliment from those rose-petal-like lips is a man's only wish. Her eyes, well, they flashed from the almond yellow to scorching red, fire-filled holes, and then back as she mouthed,
My dear.
through teeth that held a bestial quality for a second. I saw sharp fangs that flashed and disappeared. My hackles rose on my neck. My hand wandered to the pommel of my blade. I realized, and maybe, just maybe, that this was an angel. The vision that had flashed when she was angered told me that this angel was capable of,
Creating hell on earth.
she said, and I now knew that she read my thoughts. I would have to be careful how I thought. Oh no, try not to think about her and I having a
Shall we deal with the order of the day before we get on to anything like that, Gervais?
she asked. Wait a minute. I know you from somewhere, I told her.
Ah, yes. I'm around people like you a lot.
She told me. This made me feel warm. I was cared for by the Lord God. I had a guardian angel, an angel that watched over me. One of God's own looked after Gervais.
Sort of.
The woman said. What? I asked her.
Sort of a guardian angel. But I think I might need to clarify a couple of things.
So I became silent to listen to the pretty girl.
Lucifer. Pretty girl. God, is this chivalry? Is this patronising nonsense being a gentleman? I asked myself. I gritted my teeth. I had to remember that in medieval times this was accepted. Being a timeless being can often be confusing. I am an angel, but...
Yes, we've definitely met before.
He blurted before I could finish my sentence.
We have. I remember you. We we met in Reims. Anna, wasn't it? Yes, Anna D. Venture. It was a night I will always. I will always try to remember. I remember I was pretty deep in my cups that night.
Yes, we had a night, I told him. He obviously believed that an adventure was my name. You were a good knight that night, but a little bit too drunk for... He had fallen quickly to sleep. I had caught up on my reading.
So then, Anna, you are my guardian angel sent from God. And not only that, you and I.
He was waggling his eyebrows in a yuck way. I raised a hand to stop that sentence where it deserved to be stopped. I paused and thought about how to word the next few sentences. I'm not sent from God. I'm an angel. Am I a guardian angel? Of sorts, I told him.
I don't understand how one as fair as yourself could not be sent from God?
He told me, confused. Well, I'll allow you a boon to help you work out this confusion. This was going to be difficult to explain, and not make this ancient knight freak out. Is freak out appropriate to this period of history? Well, here goes. My name isn't Anna Deventure. That's a fake name I use occasionally because I like to think it's clever. And it gives my the people I introduce myself to, have a chance to question me and get the truth. He looked confused. An adventure, I said out loud. His eyebrows knitted and then unknitted as he realised the truth and raised a finger. Yes, not a real name if you had spotted it.
Yeah, I was very drunk,
he said grumpily. You're always drunk, I told him. You do your best thinking in that state, don't you? He nodded and smiled.
Well, right now it doesn't seem so, does it?
He said almost apologetically. If I tell you my real name, it'll give you an idea of my true home. I'm not Anna Deventure. I am Lucifer. There was again a knitting of eyebrows. Lucifer, I repeated. Still nothing on that face. Lucifer, I snarled. The realization hit the man like a half brick. No, in this period it would be a stone cobble, and a big smile was displayed as if he felt relief at this new understanding. This was followed almost instantly by a flash of horror and fear at the new understanding.
Lucifer?
He asked, disbelief prevalent in his voice. Exactly. You see, I am an angel, I told him.
Lucifer?
He repeated as though repeating it would make it what, more or less real? Yes, Satan, Morning Star, Beelzebub, I told him, realising that the words were unheard as the knowledge, the truth, settled into the man's mind. He suddenly collapsed to his knees in front of me. His face was a picture of pain. He was terrified. No need for that, I joked. I knew he couldn't hear me in his total misery as his hands fell to the floor and tears flooded those deep blue eyes.
So then I am damned?
He asked, raising those ice chips to mine. Well, no. That's what we have to talk about in this situation, I told him.
So then I'm not damned?
He asked. No, you're not damned, but to sort all this out, I said, using my arm to show the camp and the back of William and his horse, then we have to talk about, you know. I was feeling a little embarrassed. Those eyes filled with misery and sadness looked at me. I could see a spark of hope, so I looked away to not suffer that look. Hope was there. She sparkled over his right shoulder in her beautiful, ethereal, wispy form. She was there, but she was in no way as solid and monstrous as the horrific creature that represented despair. Despair was a woman, too, but... No, I won't describe despair. I have no need to. We've all met her and wallowed in her embrace, even if briefly at times. I sighed. We'll have to talk about your damnation. I smiled a rueful smile as I steeled myself. This was the damned reason I existed.
William Marshall. I sit upon bastard. By the horse's side is the giant wolf soul, Fenrir. We don't communicate. He is at a loss with me, he is. He knows not why I do this thing this day. Why would I willingly go to my death? I created this situation. I am not to blame, but I am in a position where I can do something about this. I am met at the boundary of the Count's camp by the herald and 5 soldiers. His face is gloating. His body is gloating. His fucking horse is gloating. I suppose a man named the Cock should have an element of cockiness, or could it be cockishness? His accompanying men look bored witless, to be honest. I pulled my plodding horse to a stop and looked the man in the eye. He was on a white palfrey, a nice horse, I have to say. But it was with an internal joy that I had to look down at the man to speak with him. I could see that this annoyed him, and he tried to raise himself slightly out of his saddle without anyone noticing. Sadly for him, everyone did. What had happened to this man in his life to make him so insecure?
He saw himself in a mirror, didn't he?
Said the wolf-soul Fenrir as he read my thoughts. I smirked at the quip given, and to emphasize the point that I was higher than him, I leant down over my saddle to get to eye level with the man. He was clad in silks of such aggressive colour that I had to squint to protect my eyeballs. On straw-thin, pale legs, he wore stockings so tight they could double as a moral judgment. His hat was prodigious and equally coloured in a headache-inducing manner, and to make it even more stupid, sticking out of the top of it was a feather. No, feather's not an ample description. A plume it was, ridiculous it was, and it hit the mounted soldier next to him in the face every time the Cock turned his head. It was apparent that this fop, that he was convinced that every knight, nay, every man, despised him, and that every lady mocked him. And yet, true to his title, he showed up. He flourished. He pronounced. He puffed out his chest like a pigeon. Because though the brave Cock lived in constant terror of embarrassment, he knew one thing for sure. Cowards don't wear lavender tights and announce wars with a trumpet shaped like a swan. And he did both those things. To me, he must have a bravery of sorts, or well, I couldn't think of any other reason why he would dress in such a manner, you see.
You have brought yourself forth, have you? You lowly coward that you are. I pour scorn upon you. See, look at it. I pour it.
He mimed pouring something on me. I looked at him with a passive expression, then at his men, who showed faces that held irritation towards him. Well, they held it almost in check. The herald looked at his soldiers and was confused that they were not able to cope due to the laughter that he'd created. He repeated his actions whilst looking at each soldier in turn.
I said, I pour scorn upon him.
The soldiers looked at him, and then at me. I rolled my eyes in shared awkwardness. The men smirked, which the Cock thought was given for his poor jest about pouring. I could see his excitement that these real men had laughed with him and not at him. He was the kind of fool that would bask in that more than much else. He turned back to me.
You see, we all pour scorn upon you.
He made the mime of pouring again and indicated that the soldiers should copy him by looking at each of them and waving at them to join him in this strange gesture. The 4 men turned to look at the one who must have been their leader. A great warrior, although judging by his scarred and ripped face, he looked like he'd lost a lot of battles. But he'd survived, so there is that. What I assume was an officer, crossed his arms and nodded at each of them. They now copied the coxmime, but with absolute distaste at what they were being obviously ordered to do. The herald got very excited by being joined by the others. I noticed the captain. He could have been of any rank, but he looked like a captain. He just sat and shook his head as they did so, keeping his arms firmly crossed over his chest. Fenrir and I had a little laugh as I met the captain's eyes, and smiled a conspirational smile.
He wafts at us, my brave warriors. He wafts at us,
said the cock as he tried to be the bully. I looked at the soldiers. They didn't seem to give a damn what I did as long as it wasn't attacking them. Although judging by their kit and weaponry, these men were well-trained fighters and had a lot of experience doing such. Can we move on to the bit where you chopped my head off? I mean, I don't mind the name calling and all that, but if you're gonna kill me, then just get it bloody done with, will you? I asked him.
Who are you to be making the demands? I am the herald of the Gaunt, and...
The captain nodded at me and turned his horse. His men copied him as he signalled for me to follow. The poor cock was left open-mouthed and confused at what had just happened, but then caught up as we made our way to the centre of the camp. I liked this old warrior, I did. I would, in other circumstances, like to share a drink with the man and hear his stories.
If you don't kill that floppy get before you die, then I'm gonna bloody kill you, William. You know that. You do, don't you?
The wolf soul told me. I got my horse alongside the captain's.
Sorry about him,
he said.
On my word, it will be quick.
He told me, nodding at me. I nodded my thanks back at him. No more was said until we got to the centre of the camp. The camp where I was to die.
Brought to you in association with Grendel Press. This is Werewolf the Podcast, a serial killer drama.